Collection up here because those things are good. Thank you, Jeff. All right. We are so blessed. You cannot have a good community or a great community if you don't have people who are willing to serve and to take care of each other. And we are blessed today to bring together both morning, or the breakfast lines, and our noon lines, and our Rotary Club. And we're going to, so if you're a part of those, as your speaker comes up, let me hear it when they get here. We're going to start with a man that needs no introduction. So, if Chuck Stinnett would make his way to the stage, we're going to hear about our noon lines, and there's a roar somewhere coming, I think, right? All right.
So thank you very much. Like Holly Blandford, I am the new president of the Henderson Lions Club, also sometimes known as the Noon Club, sometimes known as the City Lions, but officially we are the Henderson Lions Club. We'll answer to all three. We were founded November 21st, 1939. The Lions' motto is simply, "We serve." Our flagship mission is providing vision care to those in need. For example, we finance eye screening for first graders, third graders, fifth and seventh graders in every Henderson County public school. During our 2022-2023 fiscal year, that screening covered 1,643 youngsters, just trying to make sure that there's not something that's going to be an impediment to their ability to succeed in school. We also take applications through the Salvation Army to provide eye care for people in financial need. And we accept used eyeglasses in good condition that we can provide to others in need. Our main special projects during the course of the year include putting on the Henderson Lions Arts and Crafts Festival at Ottoman State Park, which brings thousands of people to Henderson on the first weekend of October each year. We also operate the original Lemon Shake-Up booth at the Tri-Fest, put on by our good friends, the Breakfast Lions. And in June, last month, we hosted our first golf scramble. These activities raise funds that we share in the community. This past year, we awarded $10,000 in scholarships to 10 college students from our community. And over the next 2 Tuesdays, we'll present $35,500 to 34 organizations, nonprofits, and schools to help improve our community. In addition, we ring the bell for the Salvation Army all day at Walmart on the Saturday before Christmas, in addition to an annual grant that we give to the Salvation Army. And I think we're also quite generous with the Henderson County Diabetes Coalition. In 2020, it was obviously a very challenging year. The Henderson Lions allocated $40,000 for COVID-19 pandemic relief, which included $10,000 to the Salvation Army, which allowed them to buy a 6-burner commercial gas range, a new industrial fryer, and kitchen supplies as they were providing hot meals to 250 people a day, way over their normal. We also provided $25,000 to the Henderson Employee Relief Fund, which provided one-time grants to help people who had lost work because of the pandemic if they had a utility payment or a rent payment that was due. And we provided funding for Ottoman area community services for workers whose normal transportation had been disrupted. That $40,000 was in addition to our normal annual gifts. Our club membership stands at 92 members, and I was rather surprised to learn at officers training a couple of weeks ago that the Henderson Lions Club is the largest Lions Club in the western half of Kentucky, basically I-65 West, including Louisville, and we're the second largest club in Kentucky behind the Lexington Lions. That's a lot of numbers, but let me share 2 numbers that are especially meaningful to me. Those numbers are 23 and 90. That's the range of ages of members of the Henderson Lions Club. Our oldest lion, Bob Park, will turn 91 on Sunday. I'm by far the oldest president of the Lions Club since I joined the club in 2016, and my only regret is that I didn't join 20 or 30 years earlier when I was first asked. All the presidents before me were age 40 or younger, so I'm kind of an anomaly. In a lot of ways. Lions is so compelling and so fun that we have a lot of relatives of members become club members. We have father and daughter members. We have father and son members. We have grandfather and grandson members, and we even have a husband and wife membership team. I'm the husband. We meet at noon every Tuesday in the Pittsburgh Tower Group event room in the second floor of the new addition of the library. Each week we sing, we tell corny jokes. Here's one. Why do you never see elephants hiding way up in trees? Because they're really good at it. That's about what we usually get at a club meeting. And each week we have a program that informs us of events going on in our community. A lot of fun, a lot of fellowship, a lot of service to our community. Thank you for your time. Have a great meal.
All right, bad dad joke? Check. Wait, how'd I do that? Good job, Chuck. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the New Lions for all that you do for our community and the service you provide. Thank you very much. All right, our next special guest is Rotary, and this is one of our city and county's rising stars. Holly Blanford is our president this year. So Holly, if you'd make your way to the stage and let's talk about Rotarians in the news. How about that? All right.
Good afternoon. Chuck mentioned he's one of the oldest Lions Club presidents, so I'm happy to say I'm the youngest Rotary Club president in the history of the club. Our organization has been in this community since 1917, and we're here and we're strong as ever with over 100 active members. Many of your colleagues, your friends, and your family members are dedicated Rotarians who seek to make our community and our world a better place. Many times I'm asked, what does it mean to be a Rotarian? And I feel these words sum it up perfectly. This piece is entitled, What is a Rotarian? A Rotarian is a person who digs wells from which they will never drink, a person who vaccinates children they will never meet, who restores sight for those they will never see, who builds houses they will never live in, who educates children they will never know, who plants trees they will never sit under, who feeds hungry people regardless of race, religion, or politics, who makes crawlers walk half a world away, and finally, who knows real happiness can only be found by serving others. If you're a member of the Henderson Rotary Club, would you please stand and be recognized? These are the individuals making a difference in your community. Thank you all. So the Henderson Rotary Club meets weekly on Thursdays at noon at the Henderson County Public Library, but in between each of those weekly meetings, the work doesn't stop. Each year, we embark upon a number of service projects, we supply local organizations with grants, and we help local students pay for college through the Rotary Colonels to College program and the Rotary Scholarship program. This past year, our club provided Christmas for 10 local families through the Volunteer and Information Center's Adopt a Family program. We rang the bell for the Salvation Army and helped the organization raise $3,000 to give back to folks in our community. We visited every third grader in Henderson County and provided them with a Rotary dictionary. Your local Rotarians provided over $30,000 in grants to local organizations who are already putting that money to work in our Henderson community. We provided $10,000 in scholarships to local undergraduate and graduate students. We volunteered our time and efforts to host the annual Rotary Field Day event. And our club members took money out of their own pockets to help fund the North Middle School cheerleading team's trip to nationals in Orlando, Florida. And we're not done yet. Our club is being recognized not only locally, but on the district level as well. Our club's president-elect, Mary Steele, was recently named the Rotary Leadership Institute Chair for the 2023-2024 Rotary year. I was grateful to be awarded the My Rotary Story Award at our most recent district conference for sharing how the Rotary Club of Henderson impacted my life. And one of our club's past presidents, Dorsey Ridley, is currently serving as district governor nominee and is on track to serve as Rotary District 6710's district governor in 2 years. Our club is shining a light on our community, and we're putting Henderson on the map across the Commonwealth. I'm beyond proud to be a Rotarian. I say my Rotary job is my second job that doesn't pay the bills. But I'm proud to work alongside the folks who stood up a few moments ago to be recognized. They're making a difference in our community and in our world. And I'll end with this. If you're interested in doing the same, if you are looking to make lasting, impactful change in our community, in our state, and across our world, we ask you to please join us at a Rotary meeting. So, each year, our club also gives out the Hometown Hero Award to a Hendersonian whose outstanding service and commitment to the community elevates them from citizen to hero. And I will preface this by saying my fellow Rotarians know I tend to get pretty emotional when I give out awards. So I will say this year was no different than the others when I say that we had a few tough choices to make. There were so many deserving individuals who were nominated, and that speaks to the level of folks that we have in our community, that we have so many that are deserving of an award such as Hometown Hero. So this year's recipient is someone that many times doesn't receive public praise for their work in the community. They have served as a mentor for a number of students in Henderson County during their years as an educator, and they consistently go above and beyond when tasked with helping their family, their friends, and their colleagues. I had the privilege of meeting this individual first as a student in their classroom, then as a coworker, and now as someone I consider a friend. Their personal story of how they came to be the individual they are today is quite the inspirational tale. From spending their early years growing up in Roberts, Kentucky, to raising 2 successful children as a single mom while also attending college, this individual frequently shares with others the same advice her own grandmother, Ola Mae Davis, shared with her. Education is something no one can take from you. Always get as much of it as you can. This year's Hometown Hero took that advice to heart as she graduated from the University of Southern Indiana and twice from Morehead State University. Her most recent educational accomplishment was graduating in 2020 with her doctorate in educational leadership from Morehead State University. In 2011, this year's recipient joined the faculty at Henderson Community College and has mentored underrepresented minority students on campus ever since. She has served as a resource for HCC students who didn't know what it meant to be a college student. They weren't sure where their next meal was coming from, or they just simply needed a listening ear. I witnessed this numerous times during my time on the staff at Henderson Community College. She was always a strong advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion on the HCC campus and made sure that every student's voice was always heard. In 2021, she created a high school mentor program called Transition to Beyond. Twice a month, she meets with high school juniors and seniors during their school day, and they talk about topics like applying for college, financial aid, what resources they need to reach their goals. And since 2021, 21 students have successfully graduated from her program. Recently, she learned one of the students participating in her mentorship program was accepted into college, but lacked the resources to get started. This year's Hometown Hero stepped in to take the student shopping, not just for school supplies, but also items to make her dorm room feel like home. During the most recent end-of-year banquet for the Transition to Beyond program, 3 students returned home from college participants. How without this individual's help, they never would have thought college was in their future. When I began writing this speech, I figured what way to sing this year's Hometown Heroes' praises than to hear from those who work with her day in and day out. Dr. Jason Warren, president of Henderson. Now, this is where the tears are going to start. I am so proud of Dr. Michelle Chappelle. First, I'm inspired by her personal success journey and impressed by how she uses her story to encourage and influence others to achieve more. Second, I'm thankful for the way she represents Henderson Community College as a faculty member. Not only does she make a difference in the classroom, but she models volunteerism and engagement in the community we all love. From the successful mentorship program she has established at Henderson County High School, to her service on the Henderson Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, Dr. Chappelle fosters collaboration among numerous groups and organizations to make Henderson a better place to live, work, learn, and play. Lindsay Lacosto, president of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce, had this to say: Dr. Chappelle has been a true asset to the Chamber Board of Directors, as well as serving as the chairperson for the Education, Workforce, and DEI Committee. Whatever Michelle sets her mind to do, she is going to do it. Always showing up prepared, ready to give 100%, and bringing her irreplaceable sense of humor. Our community and our school system are lucky to have such a strong female leader and a role model. Reverend Charles Johnson, Executive Director of the Henderson Human Rights Commission, offered these words about our 2023 hometown hero. Dr. Chappelle possesses a vision for higher education and outreach programs that celebrate diversity and strive to empower all students. I have served with Dr. Chappelle on various community boards, and she always conducts herself with high standards and maintains her resolve. She is a bright example for women of color and her community in promoting, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. I've witnessed so many great things that Dr. Chappelle has been a part of, but one of her greatest accomplishments has been her own children, who have followed in her footsteps by paving their own career paths. So, whether Michelle is being Naya and Keelan's biggest cheerleader, or serving on one of the many community boards that she dedicates her time and energy to, you can always count on this year's award winner to put her best foot forward. Please join me in congratulating this year's 2023 hometown hero, Dr. Michelle Chappelle.
Holly, you wanted to make me cry today, didn't you? And my kids, they kept that from me, so I'm glad they're here. They're over there. Thank you, everybody who took part of nominating me for this award. I really appreciate it. I do it from the heart. I do it because I care, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Spell, well-deserved, and Holly, nice work. You got through that without too many tears and no Kleenex required, so good. All right, now, I don't know about our next participant, Rose Wheeler, bless your heart. You got to carry the burden of Bill Floyd up here with you and talk about our breakfast lines. But I'll tell you, my spring's not complete without breakfast lines and Tri-Fest. So, Rose, if you'd come on up and share with us some of the accomplishments of you and your crew.
Okay. So good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to share some of the updates that the breakfast lines have accomplished in this last year. So I believe each person is gifted with talents to share in order for the community to be a better place. When our community is strong, our workplaces, our schools, our homes become safe, happy, and thriving, which in turn creates a welcoming, friendly environment to raise strong families that continue the cycle. So our first update on what the Henderson Breakfast Lines are doing is that we have a new position in our club. It's the Coordinator of Communication and Marketing, and that is held by Alex Wheeler. Our club has never been one to seek recognition or praise, but we realize that in order to serve the community needs to know what we do. So Alex has created and updated our website and is tirelessly working to bring our club into the world of technology. Unless I say, it's a very difficult job among us. There are 3 activities that the Breakfast Lions does that shapes us. The first one is Christmas in the Park, and the chair of that is Tanya Jones. Our club partners with the city and other local organizations to put on this event. The Breakfast Lions supply the Santa House, and the Leo Club, a group of middle and high school youth whose advisor is Laura Freeman, work the sweet shop as a fundraiser. In the Santa House, club members welcome families into the building where children get to meet and talk with Santa. The Sweet Shop offers treats and drinks to families as they leisurely walk the park enjoying the displays. Our club is currently in the process of updating both the Santa House and the Sweet Shop. Our December goal is that the Leos will be able to serve the community from a sweet shop that is spacious, warm, and cheerful. Fingers crossed. The second event that the Lions Club is part of is Flags Around Downtown. This activity touches more hearts than I ever imagined. There is never a time while putting the flags out or bringing them in that someone does not stop and say thank you. This activity is year-long. Wayne Wheeler, the club flag chair, has the duty to evaluate the condition of flags and poles after each event, where approximately 250 flags line the streets of downtown. The cost of replacing a single flag, pole, and hardware is about $40. This same expense was only $25 just few short years back. Periodically, club members walk around the downtown businesses seeking help. I personally love this service project because I get to meet wonderful employees and business owners. And we want to thank you for the help that you've given us in the past and to let you know that we plan on coming and visiting soon. Our third and biggest event is the Tri-Fest. The co-chairs of the Tri-Fest are Bill Floyd and James Peden. While the Henderson Breakfast Lions Club was chartered in December of 1979, the first Tri-Fest was in spring of 1988. So from 88 to 2019, 32 years, the club has given back approximately $683,827 to various nonprofit organizations. In 2020 and 2021, unfortunately, the festival was canceled. In 2022, Tri-Fest returned to kick off the outdoors events for the season in a big way. With the perfect storm of beautiful weather and people eager to get out, Tri-Fest took the honor of the second best in history. Sorry, I lost my place. The funds allowed us to help local organizations and to purchase 5 new electric panels to supply additional power to our food vendors. This purchase was a partnership between the Breakfast Lions and HandyFest. Remember when I said in 2022 that was the second best year? Well, that was before 2023 happened. The 34th annual Tri-Fest raised the bar and brought in funds that allowed the club to award $29,950 to 17 nonprofit organizations, plus $400 to Camp Crescendo, for a grand total of $30,350. This brings the total amount to date awarded by our club through Tri-Fest to $737,517. This total does not reflect the gross income various nonprofit food vendors and game booths have generated during that same time span. I am not going to lie, Tri-Fest is a lot of work, but we are not the only ones downtown each day. The city workers that tend the streets daily, and clean once the vendors are gone are amazing. They are pleasant, helpful, and attentive, and they are always looking to help. They are true professionals of their trade. Thank you for allowing me to share and update you on the Henderson Breakfast Lions Club and to share with you the reason that I joined the Lions Club in 2015. If any of you are looking for a way to volunteer and give back to your community, we meet on Tuesday mornings, the first and third Tuesday morning at 6:45 at Shoney's. So please come and join us. Thank you.
It is truly an honor to have 3 such wonderful service organizations one more time, a big thank you for all the work they do in our community. And if you would like to volunteer, the Government Affairs Committee is looking for volunteers, so I'm always looking to grow that. So see, there's all kinds of opportunities today. But the Chamber clearly is a volunteer organization, and we're proud to support any organizations, but effectively the small business community and each of us in the room. So thank you for all that you do for the Chamber. But right now we're to the point of the program where we're going to get to the highlight reel. So if County Judge Brad Schneider and our Mayor Brad Staten would come up to the stage, we're going to get them introduced. So I didn't know what to say. Brad Schneider, Brad Staten, there's a lot of BS coming to the stage. I didn't write that. That was original Lindsay LaCosta. But yeah, there's a lot. You just don't know how much in the next 20 minutes you're going to get. But hey, we are blessed to have two leaders that lead from the heart. Thank you for both what you do. I'm done emceeing, so the show is yours. Have a wonderful day, and thank you. And Lindsay, you're going to finish up when I get done? All right. Thanks, sir.
It is a complete honor for me to stand up here and deliver the first State of the City address that I will get a chance to do. And I wanted to thank you, first of all, for allowing me to serve as our mayor. And I wanted to acknowledge that there's nothing that we can do at the city without your support, your help, your involvement, without every citizen in the city of Henderson marching to the same drum. I have one special guest in the audience that I wanted to acknowledge, and that is my wife. She was able to join us today. We've been married for 19 years, and if any of you know me very well, then I automatically know that anyone who can be married to me for 19 years has to be the most patient person in the entire city of Henderson. I'm very, very thrilled to be married to you, and thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. We have another special guest in the audience that I wanted to acknowledge, our former mayor, Steve Austin. So I had the pleasure of working with Steve Austin for 6 years, and he provided a level of mentorship, leadership, and friendship that was just completely invaluable to me, preparing me to be able to take this next step. And if you would, Steve, if you don't mind, would you please stand to be acknowledged? Thank you for your 12 years of service to this city and beyond that. You truly are an exemplary citizen here in the city of Henderson. Our city commission has members here too. We function as a body of 5 people, and all of us have equal votes on everything that happens in the city. Our city commissioners, Austin Bowles, Rodney Thomas, Nick Witt, and Robert Pruitt, are some of the most caring and thoughtful and prepared individuals that I've ever had the chance to serve with. If you don't mind to stand and be acknowledged, that would be great. Thank you. And our city manager, Buzzy Newman, we are a city manager form of government, which means that we have a city manager who is here day in and day out through the good and through the bad. And we have to have a city manager who is a great decision maker, a great thinker, and has a great heart for the city. And we certainly have all 3 of those in our city manager, Buzzy Newman. And the last thank you that I want to give before we start the presentation, and there will be more thank yous as we go, Holly Blanford for putting together the presentation, and Frank Knight for donating some of the pictures that are presented as part of the presentation. You all do a fantastic job, and I really appreciate it. So the first segment of the presentation, I'd like to highlight a little bit about what our individual departments have done over the last year or will be doing over the next year. So we're going to start with Public Works. And in case you haven't heard, our Public Works Department recently undertook a really big project. So they are in the process of rolling out new dumpsters to everybody in Henderson. And before we started doing that, we had no idea. We had a little idea. because other cities have done it. But we had no idea the magnitude of how much of a change this would be for a lot of different people. So we found ourselves with our sanitation department having the highest workman's comp claims consistently of any department in the city year after year. And the thing that we look at are not the numbers on the paper, but it's the individuals who are doing that job. And for them to day in and day out be lifting thousands of pounds of garbage into a truck and causing strains and pokes and cuts and bruises and all kinds of different ailments that prevent them from work and prevent them from enjoying their lives to the fullest, we decided we needed to take action. And our action was going to be make a major change or outsource. And we chose to make a major change and to adopt a model that most all other cities our size in Kentucky have already adopted. And so we rolled out new trash bins. We did so with David Steele, our sanitation coordinator, has done just a fantastic job doing that. We've had a few concerns that have popped up. You know, one of the concerns that people talk about are, why can't we use our own bins? And that's one that's pretty easy to answer, but tough to swallow as part of the transition. We have to have bins that are easily distinguishable from the recycle bins that we have out. So that's why you notice you got a green can with a beige-colored lid, because it's easy to tell that one apart from the blue recycle bins. Also, if they were to break down, the city's going to replace the bins free of charge if it's due to normal wear and tear, so it's product liability as well. One of the concerns, however, that was brought up is going to lead to a small change. Over the next few weeks, the sanitation department is going to try to figure out how to take orders for smaller bins for people who have mobility issues and who produce less trash. Those would be similar to the small recycle bins, so please keep your ears open for that change, and if you are in need of a smaller bin for those specific reasons, we're going to roll those out later on this fall. Our HMP&L, Henderson Municipal Power and Light, is working on a big project right now. They call it Fiber to Home. A couple of years ago, actually several years ago now, my wife and I were driving through Clarksville, Tennessee. Or excuse me, I say Clarksville, I meant Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Chattanooga used to tout themselves as a 1 gig city, and they should have, because at the time when they rolled that out, that was a pretty big deal. Henderson Municipal Power and Light is now rolling out a fiber to home project in their territory that is going to allow Henderson to become a 10 gig city. We are going to be able to, in about 1.5 to 2 years, if you live in HMP&L's territory and some beyond Henderson Municipal Power and Light's territory, you're going to be able to have up to a gig's worth of service, up to 10 gigs worth of service, but for comparison's sake, 1 gig's worth of service is going to cost about 25% cheaper than what I currently pay at my house through my provider for 200 megs. 5 times the service for a cheaper price from a reliable company. People have been asking us for a long time, when are we going to be able to have competition in terms of internet providers? We're tired of only having one real option for fast speeds. Now we're going to have that in the future. Henderson Water Utility and Henderson Municipal Gas, both of them are going to smart metering and are in the process of doing that. Henderson Water Utility is investing $18 million in infrastructure that is going to improve the water flow and the pressure for all of its customers on the south side of town. They're in the middle of doing that. Henderson Municipal Gas, like I said, they're on their smart meters, and they're in the middle of relocating utilities for Wathen Lane, and I'll get to Wathen Lane here in just a bit. Next, with our Henderson Police Department.
Mr. Gillespie was an escapee from Ohio, had a 2016 conviction of a double homicide. Today, I believe we have closure to our 5-day manhunt.
Sometimes you don't really appreciate to the fullest the safety that some of our departments provide to this community until it becomes a big story. And we had a really big story here in Henderson back in May. In May, we had 2 escapees from Ohio enter our community. One was found readily on the scene, and the other one was at large for a period of 5 days. Our Henderson Police Department coordinated over 2,100 man-hours and 20 different law enforcement agencies and departments over a period of 5 days to help track and to put out the word to our citizens about what was going on with this particular situation, about the extra escaped convict that was in our community for that period of time. We ended up 5 days later having a situation to where both convicts were found and people could rest easy in our community. And I just wanted to say thank you to our police department for always being there and for ensuring our safety in this community. Henderson Fire Department, two things I wanted to hit on real quick. We have a new chief, a new fire chief. If you don't mind, I hate to put you on the spot, but Josh Dixon, if you would stand to be recognized. Josh Dixon is one heck of a good guy, and I think he's going to make one heck of a good fire chief for this community. Also, for those who would like to know about the new fire department, before I started on the commission before us purchased some property to eventually build a new fire station on. It's taken a bit of time to prepare it and to have the money available and to make that move, but later on this year, on into next year, we are going to start a one-year build-out on a new fire station that is going to go on 2nd Street, just a few blocks to the left. So that is one thing that you can look forward to over the next year, and by the end of next calendar year, we should have that thing up and running, maybe into the year after, early into the year after, but I know our fire department is looking forward to that. Our Parks and Recreation Department just asked for a $250,000 grant to help reappoint or restructure Anthony Brooks Park, which is a park that's across the street from the John F. Kennedy Center. It's a park that's existed in Henderson for decades. We had a group of citizens, concerned citizens, come to us, some of Anthony Brooks' relatives and friends, asking us to redo this park in a way that really honors his name a bit better. So we submitted a $250,000 grant to Land and Water. It is, if you know anything about grants, those things take a little bit of time, so I don't think you're going to see any construction on that within the next year. However, we submitted the grant to put in a new splash pad and some outdoor bathrooms and some new play equipment and really dress that park up for the people of that side of town, and we're going to try to make use of federal dollars to make that happen. Our 911 services is doing something that is actually extremely important to the community. They are in the process of putting in a new 911 system that is going to introduce double redundancy into the community. And I know those are some big words, but let me break that down for you just a bit. If we were to have a natural disaster in this community that knocked out our communications for 911 today, we have single redundancy, which means that we would be left with a situation to where people who need those emergency services may not be able to connect with our 911 department. The new system that they're working on is going to be double redundant, which means if our services in the community are knocked out for any reason, another redundancy is going to happen in eastern Kentucky to where we can operate off of that particular site to continue our operations with 911 and make sure that our community stays safe. And our admin department, a couple of things that they're doing. We've got a new city app that's going to come out that's in the process. It's already actually out, but we're still in the process of improving it to better communications between us, between the city government and the citizens. And also, I wanted to talk about a gentleman named Matt Neely. He's a man who works for Pittsburgh Tank and Tower during the day, and he works as an excavator during the afternoons. And he is somebody who has done things right in this community in terms of applying for the applicable licenses that he needs, the contractor registration forms, set up his business the exact right way. And as I was talking to him in my backyard, he made a comment that none of us ever like to hear because we've worked so hard over the last decade to make sure that this is untrue. He said, "I don't think Henderson is very business friendly." And I hate to bring that term up at a State of the City address, but at first I wanted to get defensive about it, and then I asked him why. And he said for his story, he said, I do things right. I don't know how to navigate city government very well. I ended up having to go to this place to get an occupational license. I had to go across town and try to find another place to get a contractor registration form. Had to go to another place to take care of this. Why can't I just go to one place to take care of my business? And I thought that his request in the form of a statement was pretty valid. And so we are working on, the administration team and Buzzy Newman and our finance department, our IT department, we're working on a system now to make sure that we do have a one-stop shop for people who open up businesses to where they can get all the forms. We're actually looking at technology to try to make that happen as well. And so that is something that you can look forward to within the next year to 2 years as we continue to flesh that part out. And lastly, talking about our Henderson Area Rapid Transit, our HART department, we had something I'm pretty sure that many people in this room do not know about that could have been a major catastrophe for our community happen early this year, maybe in January. And that is we got notice that Henderson is no longer going to be qualified to belong to Evansville's MPO going forward. And the reason that that is important is because we receive all of our funding for our HART, for our public transportation funding through the MPO. We also receive other funding and services from the Evansville MPO as part of that arrangement. Now, this is due to an error, or as they like to put it, an omission of data at the federal level that is going to cost us our arrangement with Evansville until the next census comes out and we can get that error corrected on the federal part. However, because of the collaboration and work of our city manager, of our city commission actually flew to Washington to have conversations with the FTA and the Census Bureau and other relevant departments, and the state government, Kentucky officials, Indiana officials. We all work together to make sure that that funding source is actually secured regardless of the MPO arrangement going forward, and our HART program is going to remain strong and it's going to remain in service for years to come. Moving on, talking about our financial position, we are in a very strong financial position. The first thing I wanted to do is mention our reserves. If you can look at this graph as of 2020, you notice a significant change. 2020 was also the year where COVID happened. So as of 2020, we changed the way that our budget happened on a yearly basis to this respect. We have really been watching our pennies. Not that we haven't before, but we've really been watching our pennies, not spending an exorbitant amount of money at the city and building our reserves back up because the trend was going down until about 2020. Today we have almost $16 million in reserves, which leads us to be able to withstand any unexpected turmoil. It also allows us to spend some money over the next couple of years. And you're going to hear about some big projects that we are considering spending some money on over the next few years here in just a bit. On our property taxes, when I entered the City Commission and when a number of our commissioners entered the City Commission in 2017, 2016 timeframe, we noticed something that was an alarming trend. Our property taxes in Henderson, Kentucky at that time frame were by far, not even close, in the city, not including the county or education system, but just focusing on the city, they were the largest of any city our size in the state of Kentucky by a mile. And so what we had done mathematically up until that point is we had created a system to where it was actually very inexpensive to work in Henderson based on our occupational taxes, but it was very expensive from a city tax standpoint to own property here, to own a house. And so we wanted to reverse that trend. And if you notice, we had a significant decrease of almost 20%, followed by a number of years of no increases, and then another decrease over the last year. And I'm proud to report that our property taxes, our real property taxes, are less than they have been in over a decade here in Henderson, Kentucky. And if we can help it, we're going to continue that trend going forward because we want people to be able to buy stuff and own stuff here in Henderson and not just visit here or work here, but live here and be a part of our community. On our occupational taxes, this is the one that has gone up. And so over that same time period, we have gone from 1% to 1.65% on our property tax. Not a huge change, but it has been a significant change. If you look at us compared to all of our peer cities in Kentucky, we are still one of the lowest occupational taxes in the state of Kentucky for any city that we have. And so we are trying to correct that math and trying to correct that message that we're sending with how we tax our folks on what we want to achieve and what we want to happen here in Henderson, Kentucky. And by the way, the 1 to 1.65%, that represents an increase of about $5 million annually. Because our state throughout the 2000s and early 2010s got into a bad position with its pension system, we have been asked to contribute about $2.5 million more on an annual basis over that time period to our pension system to make up for what it was not doing at the time. So about half of this increase is going to the state pension fund. So I just wanted to discuss taxes, what our thoughts are, and where your money is going. Some of the challenges that our community is facing. The first one has to do with drug abuse. If you can change to the next slide and then the one after that, please.
We're less than 2 weeks into the new year, and fentanyl overdoses in Henderson are on pace to reach never-before-seen levels.
This is our number one focus right now.
Fentanyl is killing our kids. Fentanyl is killing our parents. Fentanyl is killing our people of all ages here in Henderson, Kentucky. One of the biggest stories to come out of January for the city of Henderson was the amount of overdoses and the amount of overdose deaths. And this is not anything that anyone in the city or county administration, any of our attorneys or anyone in our legal system, any of our police or law enforcement have taken lightly at all. In fact, we meet on a quarterly basis at the judicial system with Judge Karen Wilson, including all of those people and a number of other people throughout the community, to talk about actions that we can take to make sure that this number never happens again in Henderson, Kentucky. Now, we've also, our police department is into distributing Narcan to make sure that it's available because it can have an effect. And notice I said can and not would, but can have a positive effect on people who are overdosing. We are dealing in this community with fentanyl and opioids. There's something else that is happening in Vanderburgh County that will, if it hasn't already, made its way onto our territory, and that's something called carfentanil. And carfentanil is about 100 times more potent than fentanyl, which is a drug that is killing our people. And fentanyl is something that it's very difficult to deal with because it's not like many of the people who are suffering these overdoses are seeking it out. Some of the people are coming in contact with it through their skin. Some of the people are coming in contact with it because it's laced with other drugs. This is definitely something. Last calendar year, we had 17 deaths from fentanyl or other drug-related overdoses in Henderson, Kentucky. And no deaths due to drug overdose or any reason really, but due to drug overdoses is acceptable in our community. Our police department, our sheriff's department, Commonwealth and county attorneys, city and county government, we have banded together to spend some of our opioid settlement money to create a drug awareness position, an education position here in Henderson, Kentucky that is being filled with a lady named Angie Gatton, who is going to do a fantastic job of getting information out to parents and students and people in this community to make sure that we can continue to fight fentanyl and other drug overdoses here in this community. Another issue we're dealing with at the city is staffing. If you own a business, if you're in a business, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the staffing problems all over the country. And it's not rocket science. When you have a baby boomer generation that has been retiring for 7 years and still has another 2 or 3 years to go, and you replace that generation with a generation that just doesn't have as many people, we are going to have a prolonged period across this country of staffing issues. And we're seeing that. It's playing out right in front of our eyes, and it's playing out at the city. One of the most, we value all of our departments at the city. Everyone has a really important function here at the city. The police department I wanted to highlight with this staffing, and oh, by the way, while this is up there, if you scan this QR code at the bottom of the screen, this will give you an idea of our open positions if you happen to know someone who might be appropriate to fill those. Our police department has been very challenged. They are at record low staffing levels. But I wanted to make sure that everyone in this room knows that the commission, the chief of police, and our police department have a wonderful relationship. We are doing everything that we can to the tune of, when I started in 2017, if you include state incentives, the entry-level pay for a police officer was around $37,000. Today, if you include state incentives, the entry-level pay for a police officer is $51,000 plus. So we have really knocked that up quite a bit to make it a more attractive position. Our take-home vehicle policy has changed. We've given them a state-of-the-art body camera system. We just went to 12-hour shifts not too long ago, and now we're about to vote on a lateral incentive program that is going to offer things for retention and things to woo other experienced officers into our department. So we understand that there's challenges. We're trying to face them, but that's another challenge I wanted to highlight. And the last one is going to be inner city development. You've probably heard about this, and if you haven't, we have been releasing information about it all year. We've got about 70 people working on 5 different committees that have to do with inner city development. blight and affordable housing, economic development, infrastructure, public safety, and beautification and special projects. We had a progress report meeting the other day. They meet monthly and talk about how they can improve, how we can do projects to improve in those areas within the inner city. We had a progress report in June, and I'll tell you, some of the projects are going to be so impactful. We created a preliminary budget of $1.2 million for the program. That's a placeholder budget. And so if we have projects that add up to more than that, we're going to spend more money on this. Because as we succeed as a community, which we're doing a lot of, and we'll get to the succeeding part here in just a second, we want to make sure that the inner city also succeeds in its own way and in a big way and right along with the rest of us here in Henderson, Kentucky. Moving along to the state of our city. Henderson is currently in a state of unprecedented growth and rapid transformation. One of the biggest things that we have encountered over the last few years has been Pratt Paper. We care about all of our existing businesses here in Henderson, Kentucky. And I hope that you don't get tired of hearing about Pratt Paper. Pratt is one of the largest economic developments in the last 25 years. We talked about it earlier about collaboration. When you talk about aligning the Economic Development Department, who did a wonderful job leading the way on this specific project, when you collaborate them with city and county government, with state government, with our utility departments and a number of other folks, what you end up getting is you end up getting a $500 million investment in your community, and you get over 300 jobs that are going to pay an average salary of $60,000 plus per year without including benefits. The ribbon cutting for the grand opening for Pratt Paper is going to happen on September the 14th, and we're awfully excited to see it come to our community because it's something that is going to spur on the growth that we're experiencing. And speaking of the growth that we're experiencing when we talk in terms of housing, we've had a number of significant developments. If you notice, a lot of our local developers has been developing properties on 2nd Street, expanding Canoe Creek. There's been some activity recently that's going on in the Greystone neighborhood. And then, oh, by the way, this fall, Jago Homes is going to start building homes off of Barrett Boulevard that will lead to a 300-house development in this city that will add a tremendous number of houses. And if you want to grow your city, we can do all the things that we want to do to make it the best that we can. And we are doing that, but you can't grow unless you have a place for the people to go. And so I'm proud of the work that our local builders are doing. I'm proud of the work that Jago is going to continue to do. I-69 construction is going to present another few opportunities for us to take advantage of. The sports complex we kicked off last year. It is going to be ready most likely for next year's opening season. We're in the first phase of a 3-phase sports complex project. At the end of this phase, you're likely to see 4 baseball/softball diamonds, 3 multi-purpose fields, concessions, and parking. The second phase should include an indoor facility and some additional ball fields and other considerations. And it's important that I put this here because we do not want to get into a position where we're going to have to raise taxes to accommodate the second phase of this. Second phase is likely to cost about as much as the first phase, $10 to $15 million. When some of these growth initiatives take hold, when Pratt takes hold, for example, we are going to have well into the 6 figures worth of occupational taxes we're bringing in. When the housing development takes hold, we're going to have well into the 6 figures on a yearly basis of property taxes that we're going to bring in. And so as those gains kick in, those should provide us the money to be able to fund the second part of the sports complex without having to necessarily raise taxes to do so. I'm excited about this bringing people to Henderson. I'm also excited about our preliminary discussions for a convention center. Now, if you've heard this, one thing I do want to distinguish is that this is not a done deal project. And so please do not come away from this thinking that we are doing a convention center. However, we've done a lot of legwork. We've got a really good design. Again, this is a collaboration from a number of different people. Right now, we're going through a feasibility study for this thing. And the feasibility study was paid for by the city, by the county, our tourism department, economic development department, chamber, and the Friends of Audubon group. So we've got a number of stakeholders who are investing and who are excited about this specific project. And later on, if we have a positive feasibility study, we're going to take a team of people up to Frankfurt. We're going to pitch it to the state. Because what will happen is this is a $15 million, 25,000 square foot convention center that will hold 400 to 600 people that would be built at Audubon State Park. The proposal that we're proposing to the state is that they pay for half of this specific convention center because it is going to be a benefit to the state park system and because they're going to be able to draw revenue from it. And then our community would then in turn get from our half, basically, the convention center that it's been wanting ever since we did the vision study back in 2015 that will accommodate small to mid-size regional conventions here in Henderson, Kentucky. Two other things I wanted to talk about just real briefly. Construction, Country View, we've got 3 more phases to go for a multi-year, multi-million-dollar project in Country View that is going to help really alleviate a lot of their flooding and drainage problems. It's working a little bit already, and once it's done, our people tell us that it's really, really going to be a game changer for that specific neighborhood. Wathen Lane, if you live out in Wathen Lane or are concerned about it, you know we've been working on utility relocates and a number of different things throughout the years. We are going to kick off construction on Wathen Lane most likely later on this fall. And it'll be about a year to a year and a half project. So hopefully we're looking at drawing the widening and repaving of Wathen Lane to a conclusion by the end of next year. I-69, I could give you a lot of updates on I-69, but I'll tell you, the county judge and I worked very closely with the I-69 ORX team and put together a video that's going to explain a lot of the things that are going to be going on with I-69, and it's going to play in between our presentations. And so I'm not going to talk too much about that, other than the county judge, the school superintendent, and myself are going to be working very closely. We have a number of things that are going to change the way this community looks. By and large, a number of those decisions were not necessarily made at the local level. However, they are going to happen, and so we are adopting a stance of education, awareness, and readiness. And so over the next year to two, you can see, you're going to see a lot of things that come from the three of us to make sure that we're ready for these changes that are going to happen in our community. And very briefly, while I mentioned Bob Lawson at the school system, I noticed somebody who I've known for a long time, and I'm awfully proud of something that's happened in her life recently. Amber Thomas has just been announced as the new high school principal. And so I wanted to recognize you for your accomplishment, and I'm excited about you serving our high school. And lastly, I just want to thank our investors. You have been a tremendous partner with the city. I want to thank you for your continued trust and support in the direction of this city, because it's quite evident when you look around and you see new homes, new construction, new restaurants, a new bourbon distillery that's going to be coming in and should be on pace to be open, I think by the end of next year or on into the year after. It's going to bring in 30,000 unique visitors to our city on a yearly basis. For a tourism-related standpoint, that's a really huge deal. I wanted to thank also all of you, everyone in this room, all of our citizens. When you bring suggestions, questions, concerns to us, we take them very seriously, and we try to work together with you because it's all about us. It's not about me or we or I, or it's all about us and what we can do to make this city a better place. And if we're all marching to that same beat of that same drum, there is no limit at all to where we can take Henderson, Kentucky into the future. Thank you very much.
It's really inspirational because I know the impact this is going to have, not just on the generation that's seeing it built, but on the next generation and generations after that.
To see it manifest itself into what we're seeing around town is really something exciting to see. To be able to talk about a ribbon that connects Canada to Texas, and Henderson being that bow in the middle that's going to tie everything together.
One of the top questions any community gets asked about when a company is looking at them is, how close am I to an interstate?
It's just very exciting to see something like this come, and you definitely feel that you're in a historic moment for the city.
we know it's going to have amazingly positive benefits for both southwestern Indiana, western Kentucky, and hopefully the generations that follow us.
It presents a growth opportunity for our community, and it presents something very exciting that's going to be going on here for literally years to come. And now, if you would, please help me welcome our County Judge Executive to deliver the State of the County Address.
Okay, I know you want to get back to work, so in the spirit of expediency, I'm going to double check my notes to make sure that I'm not going to say anything that's been already said. So, yeah, Brad covered that. Yeah, he covered that too. Damn, Doug Lawson. Holy cow. Nope. Okay, so this is going to be really fast. Thank you to the Chamber for having us. Really appreciate the board and Lindsay's work and her team. Salute out to my fellow Lions and all of our little brothers and sisters at Rotary. Glad you're here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Henderson County was platted in 1797 by the Transylvania Company, and 226 years later, it's been through a lot. We've survived wars, survived economic booms and busts, natural disasters, political upheaval, cultural change, and some really bad haircuts that I saw at the County High yearbook at my wife's 40th reunion last weekend. I don't know what they were thinking back then. They were terrible. But we've survived all that. And I'm glad to say that what I'm about to allude to may or may not be legitimate based on all that history, but I think it is. And right now, as we sit here today, Henderson County is in one of the most exciting, intriguing times in its history. However, there's nothing that guarantees our ascension into more prosperity, more prominence. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But right now, the news is good. In the last 12 months since we gathered here last year, the county has announced more than 270 new jobs, $60 million plus in new investment. And our team at Henderson Economic Development was part and parcel of that, really helped us tremendously, and I want you to give them a round of applause. Missy Vanderbilt and her team are awesome. We have a new owner at Ellis Park. Churchill Downs is with us, and we look forward to the investments they're going to make in our hometown racetrack. And we are also in the process of building a new 1 million square foot pad at 4-Star Industrial Park that is already getting the attention of site selectors everywhere. It will be the largest of its kind in the state of Kentucky. More infrastructure news. You've heard about I-69, and I encourage you to sign those sheets before you go. It's really going to be imperative that we put our best foot forward on this federal grant application, and I'm very hopeful about that. For those of you who are wondering, if you live out in the county, when you're going to get affordable, reliable, dependable, high-speed internet, we are working on that as well. The county just approved a $4 million grant to Connects and Connect to help build that high-speed broadband internet network to every Kenergy customer in our county, no matter how far out in the country you live. And we are in serious discussions with other organizations, including HMP&L, to provide high-speed internet to folks who are not Kenergy customers, with the ultimate goal that every household in Henderson County, regardless of where you're located, will have that crucial service in your homes. We just finished the 2023 fiscal year in the black once again. We remain in the strongest financial position our county has known in recent memory. We just passed the 2023-24 budget, and for the 8th straight year, we left our county taxes absolutely untouched, didn't raise a penny of them, meanwhile maintaining and increasing services that you expect from us. And that would not be possible without our amazing elected officials, our department heads, and our team members here at the county. And for all those from my team and all the departments who are here, please stand up. Let's give them a big round of applause. Instead of me just sitting up here listing what they did in the last year, we employed the services of talented videographer Darren Fegley to help tell their story. So if we can show that video, please. At Henderson County Government, it's all about teamwork. It's all about us and we, not you and me. That spirit of collaboration starts with the members of Fiscal Court. Magistrates Bill Starks, Keith Berry, Butch Putman, Taylor Tompkins, and Tim Southard work hand in hand with the Judge Executive's Office, other elected officials, and department heads to make policy decisions they believe will be fair, effective, and supportive. And even when they might disagree on details, they strive for solutions that help their constituents. Teamwork is also the goal for the men and women who work for Henderson County. They protect us, preserve our history, ensure our quality of life, and plan for our future. They fix our roads, enforce our laws, keep our records, inform our citizens, improve the environment, and care for loved ones who pass away. They volunteer, they help, and they encourage. They take pride in what they do, and they are proud of this community. We celebrate them today because the state of the county is impacted by the quality of the folks we employ. And here are some highlights from their efforts over the last 12 months. 6 months into his first term in office, Sheriff Chip Soffer has gotten up to speed quickly on the wide range of duties his team handles. This past year, the Sheriff's Office processed more than $31 million in property taxes, conducted more than 5,000 vehicle inspections, served over 2,000 civil papers, handled security for hundreds of courtroom cases in the Judicial Center, and distributed hundreds of thousands of dollars in dues payments for county volunteer fire departments. In its more well-known job of county law enforcement, the Sheriff's Office and its deputies perform the never-ending and difficult job of trying to keep us safe and protect our property with professionalism and dedication. In a tough hiring environment, we are successfully filling deputy positions. The Sheriff continues to organize the increasing number of school resource officers, and the department assists our schools in improving security for students and teachers. Our Sheriff's Department is working closely with the Henderson Police Department to battle the influx of fentanyl in our community, and they had a remarkable victory in that difficult war on June 1st. Local security cameras identified the car of a suspected drug transporter that afternoon. Deputy Brent Vos and trainee Ricky Hammers found the car at a business on the 41 Strip, and after taking the driver and a passenger into custody, discovered enough fentanyl in the vehicle to kill 32,000 people, or the entire population of Henderson. Great work, gentlemen. We are thankful for our team at the Sheriff's Department. We are thankful as well for the members of the County Attorney's Office. Steve Gold and his team aid the county in so many ways. The County Attorney's Child Support Division received additional state funding, which allowed them to hire much-needed new staff and move the division to a new standalone office to better serve Henderson County's children. The office partnered with local law enforcement and domestic violence advocacy groups to implement a countywide lethality assessment for use at the scene of domestic violence cases. This assessment ensures that victims are provided the appropriate resources and assistance as soon as possible. Through aggressively pursuing grants, alternative funding, and cost-cutting measures, the County Attorney's Office has been able to increase services to the public, all while reducing its footprint on the county budget, and also working with the County Clerk's Office to recover nearly $1 million in delinquent taxes. On top of all that, Mr. Gold and his staff provide excellent legal counsel to Fiscal Court, which is crucial to effective policymaking and good governance. Henderson County Clerk Renisa Abner's team once again proved itself a model for running efficient and fair elections, handling both a general election in 2022 and a primary election in 2023, utilizing voting centers without major issues and with a timely vote count. They used grants to bring new technology to the election process here that increased accuracy and got people through the lines faster. The office also processed 6,339 voter registration transactions in the last 12 months. The clerk's office continues to work toward making more information available online and securing adequate space for a growing number of public records. Later this year, it will be implementing a new statewide vehicle registration system that should streamline boat and vehicle owner records to allow for quicker service. And on a fun note, in the last year, the county clerk's office sold $1,300 worth of birdhouses made from old license plates. 100% of that money is distributed to veterans' care homes throughout Kentucky. Henderson County Engineer Nick Stallings has just wrapped up his first full year at the helm of the road department and has done yeoman's work guiding his team. In the last 12 months, our crews moved almost 20,000 tons of materials, installed 775 feet of culverts, put in new bridges on Burbank and BF Overfield roads, widened shoulders on 33 miles of county roads, while nearly 24 miles of county roads were repaved. They also answered the call to clear debris or snow after 5 major storm events. Our recycling and solid waste management team, now led by Eric Higgs, removed 8 large illegal dumps found in the county in the last year, recycled 700,000 pounds of material, and recycled 80 tons of waste tires. Casey Phillips is our new parks director, overseeing the maintenance of our 5 county parks, which grow in popularity each passing year. We're also proud to once again help the organizers of the Henderson County Fair have another successful event at our fairgrounds. At the detention center, new jailer Bruce Todd has already implemented changes to help with employee retention in that unique work environment, where the county guards an average of more than 450 local, state, and federal inmates each day. He is also working to improve the jail's finances, which took a hit during the pandemic and have not fully recovered. The jail has partially revived the community service program, including roadside trash details, and has once again planted a vegetable garden to help reduce cost of inmate meals. We appreciate all our detention center team does, not only to protect the public, but to also ensure the safety of those serving sentences or awaiting trial. Here's a salute to Coroner Bruce Farmer and his skillful and conscientious deputies. They have an important, sometimes very difficult task, but they do it well and with tremendous respect for the families and friends of those affected by coroner's cases. Finally, the team in the Judge Executive's office supports the work of all the other departments and fiscal court. They also help our citizens navigate local government rules and regulations, and they handle those jobs with care and concern for their fellow county employees and the members of the public. Their experience and skill means the judge's office is in good hands. Great things are happening in Henderson County. We believe county government is doing its part to help our community thrive and grow. Teamwork enables us to provide the services and leadership our county citizens need. And that teamwork, us and we, not you and me, will be the key to fulfilling our goals. Thank you, Darren Fagley. That was fantastic. I really like that. I truly appreciate everybody who works with the county, and I want to mention those agencies that the city and county share or are strong partners with county government, and they include our city-county airport and Director Alan Bennett, Henderson County Emergency Management, led by Kenny Garrett, the city-county rescue squad, all of our local volunteer fire departments, the Deaconess EMS Ambulance Service, the 911 Center with Jordan Webb, Human Rights Commission and Charles Johnson, City County Planning Commission and Brian Bishop, the Riverport with Ben Whiteman, Henderson County Humane Society and Melissa Fambro, Henderson County Schools, Henderson County Community College, Henderson Community College, the Henderson County Water District, our Tourist Commission, Flood Mitigation Board, and all the folks who volunteer for our various regulatory boards. Please, let's give them a big round of applause. Now, great things are happening. All the gauges look good. Henderson County is strong. There's a buzz about our community and our region like I've not seen it in my 35 years here. But you know, communities stumble all the time. The real question before us today is how do we keep this amazing momentum going, right? And here's what I believe the answers are, just in part. This is my opinion. But as you've heard many times today, collaboration is key. We must keep collaborating. And I'll tell you, the cooperation and partnership between the city and the county, local nonprofits, the private sector, and organizations is noticed around the state. We are the envy of many of our peers. And let's all recommit today, please, in this room, to being about us and we, and not you and me. Second, we must keep trying. Obviously, Henderson County is not perfect. We have our shortcomings. We have challenges in workforce. We have challenges in affordable housing. We have challenges in illegal drug use. Those are challenges faced by counties all over the country. But the difference here is I know we wake up every morning trying to improve those things. And even if we may not reach the solutions yet, every day we get a little closer. Every day of trying makes us better, and people notice that. Finally, we need to keep cheerleading. You know, we need to celebrate as much as we ever do. And when we do celebrate, even warts and all, I really love it. I really love it when we tout it. And that community pride shines through. People see it, and they like it too. The other thing is we have a whole new generation of leaders in this community. And their electricity, their energy, their vibe is really making a difference. They're pushing the rest of us. And I think it's fantastic. The sky is the limit to them. And it's making us better, and we have to support them. We have to cheerlead for them. We need to be their bedrock and not their anchors. So the state of the county is strong. We've made it 226 years. We've survived that long. And that story is a couple centuries now, but I think the best chapters of our story have yet to be written. The future is bright. Henderson County is strong. Thank you for letting me be here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you, Brad. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to One Life, and thank you again, all of you here, whether you work for the city, for the county, or if you are here with your spouse. Just thank you for the support that you give everybody in this room, because it does take the collaboration, the encouragement, and the support of everybody. One of my favorite running analogies is where you look, you will go. And I just want to hope, and I believe that we will continue to look forward and look up and move forward and continue to move up. But thank you to our sponsors that are here today, especially our presenting sponsor, Best Insured. We do have a couple of gifts. I know everybody wants to get out. I was going to draw names, but that's a little too boring, so I'm going to play a little game. I see the girls in the back at the office already rolling their eyes at me. Donna Warren has worked at the Chamber for 30 years this year. Round of applause for Donna Warren. For a bottle of Woodford bourbon, how many bosses has Donna Warren had? 6. 6 is it. Missy Vanderpool, you're the winner. Okay, we have a very nice umbrella. There are beautiful flower baskets hanging downtown that have been watered by the city. Thank you to the city for that. How many hanging baskets are there? Whoever said 32, you won. Congratulations to Michelle Chappelle. You know I love you. I love watching you in that video from the Women in Business dinner in your red sequins. What small town, for those of you, hopefully you were all paying attention, did Michelle grow up in? Abby Dixon, I heard you first. Abby gets the other umbrella. So thank you, and I want to say a special thank you to our chair this year, Lynn Shannon, and also to Doug Lawson, our government affairs chair, also our past chair. The work that our board does is second to none. The time that they volunteer, and especially thank you, Doug, you've done a lot these past few years, and thank you very much. Your time, everybody's time here is precious, and I thank you all for all the volunteer work that you do within our community, because it's time away from your work and your families, but it's to make our community better, and I just hope that we continue to have people show up and just suit up and continue to make Henderson a great place. I hope everybody has a safe travels back to work, and thank you all so much for being here today.